Hello and welcome to Picture Book Cooking. My name is Caitlyn and I'm the Youth Librarian here at EVPL Central. So today's theme, we are going to be talking about cookies. So I've got some great books to share with you, and then we're also going to make some cookies together, and I'll give you a recipe that you can make together at home with your littles. So the first book that I have to share with you is called Fortune Cookie Fortunes by Grace Lynn. This one is great for preschool. It has really detailed illustrations. You can find something new each time that you read it. And you can also make predictions about what's going to happen in the story and what kind of predictions the family will receive in their fortune cookies. And these storytelling skills about prediction and finding out what happens next, these are very important skills when learning to read. So our next book is called Mr. Cookie Baker by Monica Wellington. This is great for toddlers. It has, again, really detailed illustrations, and there's all kinds of fun things in each place that you can find. So you can talk about the different shapes that you see in the book as well. You can talk about what ingredients you need for your cookies. And also, it's just a lot of fun to read, and there's a recipe at the end that you can make at home. So the classic, of course, is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Joffe. So this one, it's a family favorite. It's a great classic. It's perfect for preschool and early elementary. And it talks about sequencing. So what happens next? So if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk. And then it goes on and on about what other things the mouse is going to do. And it's a great family-friendly, fun book. Our next book is called The Duckling Gets a Cookie by Willems. And this one is just so funny and fantastic. It's great for toddlers and preschoolers, and even the early elementary kids will find it funny as well. So throughout it, there's a dialogue going on. The pigeon is upset that he did not get a cookie, but the duckling did, and he's wondering why. The pictures are very vibrant and simple and easy to follow, and it's a great choice for story time at home. And our last pick is called The Smart Cookie by Jory John and Pete Oswald. And this is a newer book that came out. So this one is great for elementary. There's a lot of wordplay within it. So that's fun for kids as well when they're learning to read and learning language, just playing around with words and that kind of thing. So this one, it's about a cookie, but it's also about school anxiety and being worried. So it's a great book to read because the cookie in the end overcomes his anxiety about school and finds that there is stuff that he's good at as well as his classmates. So that's a great book to read if your child is having a little anxiety about going to school or going to a new activity. All right, so those are my books for today. Please stick around and we'll make some cookies. All right, welcome back. So today we are making cookies, and my favorite kind is chocolate chip, so that is what we're going to make today. And it's just the recipe that's found on the back of a bag of Toll House chocolate chip cookies. So it's really simple, really easy to make, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So for this recipe, we're going to need 2 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. We're going to need 3/4 cup each brown sugar and granulated sugar. We're going to need a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder. We will need 2 sticks of unsalted butter softened. So I actually had to put mine in the sun over there so that way they could soften because they were still a little hard. You want to make sure that they're soft. It'll make it easier to cream together your butter and your sugars and your eggs. We'll need 2 large eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 2 cups of chocolate chips. And the recipe also includes an option to add 1 cup of chopped nuts. I'm not a huge fan of that in my cookies, so instead, if you want to omit that, you certainly can. Just add 1 to 2 tablespoons of extra flour just to make sure that the cookies stay together and hold their shape. So this recipe is super fun for kids to make as well. They can definitely help with all of the measuring and the stirring. If you have a handheld mixer at home, that will definitely help you, but I'm going to do everything by hand, so hopefully they will turn out. We will see. So first, we're going to need our 2 bowls. And in one, we're going to do our dry ingredients, and then in the other, we're going to do our wet. So we will start with our flour. Oh, and before you start mixing everything, make sure that your oven is preheated to 375. So we need 2¼ cup flour. So I'll go ahead and measure that out now. And then when you're measuring your flour, just make sure that you level it off by taking your finger and sweeping off the excess. All right, there's 2 cups there, and I just need a 4. And of course, you're going to get flour everywhere. Just like last month when we made pizza dough. I made a huge mess, and I'm going to make one again. So we need 1 teaspoon each of baking soda and salt. And this, I've already cranked out some salt in the top, so hopefully I can measure it out without spilling it everywhere. All right. And that salt's just going to balance out the sweetness of the cookies. You definitely want to have salt in most of your sweet baked goods. It just helps bring balance to it. So mix it all together, make sure it's all well incorporated, and then we will go ahead and get started on our wet. So first we're going to cream together our butter and sugars. And all that means is that you're just going to keep mixing and mixing until it looks creamy, essentially. And of course, handheld mixer beaters will definitely help you with this. They'll make short work of it, but if you don't have those at home, they're not necessary. And of course, kids love to mix and stir stuff, so they can do this for a little bit, but they'll probably get tired and you'll end up having to do the rest. So we'll need 3/4 cup of each kind of sugar, so brown and the granulated sugar. And I'm using a 1/4 cup measure, which is why I'm putting 3 scoops in there. And when you do the brown sugar, you just want to make sure that it's packed down in there, just like that. Now we are going to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix until it looks creamy. Once you've got it all mixed together, you'll just add your eggs one at a time, so your 2 large eggs, one after the other, and you'll just mix it and incorporate them well into the batter after each addition. All right, so you can see it's kind of gotten a little lighter in color. It looks a little creamy. So at this point, you can add your teaspoon of vanilla extract and then your eggs one at a time. So first, we'll start with this. And I'll go ahead and add one of my eggs and we'll mix it together really well. Of course, cracking the eggs is also very fun for kids to do. Just one thing you can do is have them crack it in a bowl separate, so that way you can just check for any pieces. It is easy to get some pieces in there if you're not careful. And then you want to mix it really well after each addition. Alright, and then we'll get our other egg and do that. And then finally, we are going to add our dry ingredients into the wet. So now it'll be a lot more liquidy whenever you add it, just like that. So you'll add it to your flour mixture. Oh, sorry, flour mixture into the wet. So I like to do about half, mix it, and then do the other half. your flour mixture and your wet ingredients all incorporated is when you can add your chocolate chips. So you'll need 2 cups of those, which I think is about the size of one of these small bags here. And of course, if you are using chopped nuts, you'll add a cup of those, but if not, you may need to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of additional flour to it. So I'm going to mix this up and see how it looks. I'm not going to use the nuts, so I'll probably end up adding just a bit more flour. And once you've got it all mixed up, you're going to drop them by rounded tablespoonfuls onto your baking sheet. You don't need to grease it beforehand. And you'll bake them for 7 to 9 minutes. And if they're still a little soft whenever they come out, that's perfectly fine. They'll harden as you let them cool on the baking sheet and then on a cookie rack as well. So I add just a little bit additional flour here. And chocolate chips. And then we'll be dropping them onto our baking sheet and then check back in 7 to 9 minutes and we'll see how they turn out. All right, I've got it all mixed up. And then we'll just drop our cookies on here. Hopefully you're a neater baker than I am. You're just going to drop them on just like that, about a tablespoon or so, and bake them for 7 to 9 minutes. Alright, they should be done. Look at that. Beautiful cookies. So you want to let them cool on the cookie sheet for about 2 minutes, and then after that time, they should be hardened enough that you can transfer to the wire rack to cool. Alright, well thank you so much for joining me for another picture book cooking. Again, my name is Caitlin, and I'm the youth librarian here at EVPL Central. We've got a lot of exciting programs throughout the week, so be sure to go to evpl.org and check those out. And you can see other picture book cooking videos, story times, craft videos, all of that good stuff on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube page at EVP Library. So thanks, have a good day.